massive table that seemed to be made of pure starlight. This was the Galactic Council, and today they were scared. Council Prime Vextar stood at the head of the table. His green scales caught the light as he moved, and his forearms gestured nervously. In all his 300 years of leading the council, he had never called an emergency meeting like this one. "Friends," he said, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. "We have a problem. A big problem." Ambassador Crix of the hegemony shifted in his chair. His tentacles curled and uncurled with worry. He had been the first to bring the news, and even now he could hardly believe it himself. "Tell them what you told me," Vextar said to Crix. Crix stood up slowly. His voice was quiet when he spoke. "3 of our scout fleets have gone missing. All 3 were sent to study a small planet in the outer rim, a planet called Earth, the B." Other council members looked confused. Representative Thal of the Viridian Empire leaned forward. "Missing? You mean destroyed?" "No," Crix said. "Missing means we don't know what happened to them. We sent signals, we sent search teams, nothing. It's like they just disappeared." Commander Yeath of the Iron Claw Federation laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. 3 fleets? Gone? What kind of weapons could a primitive planet have? Our ships have shields that can stop planet-killer bombs. "That's what we thought too," said a new voice. Everyone turned to look at Research Director Zen of the Collective Minds. Zen rarely spoke in council meetings. When he did, people listened. "We also sent ships to this Earth," Zen continued. "Bioships. Living vessels that can't be detected by most technology. We sent 12 of them, only 1 came back." The room went silent. Bioships were the most advanced vessels in the galaxy. They were alive, intelligent, and nearly impossible to catch or destroy. "What happened to the one that returned?" Vextar asked. Zen's large black eyes seemed to dim. "The pilot was changed, traumatized. He kept saying the same thing over and over. They knew we were coming. They were ready." Admiral Corax of the Star Empire slammed his fist on the table. "This is impossible. We're talking about a species that hasn't even left their own solar system. Our scouts reported they still use chemical rockets. Our scouts," said a quiet voice from the corner, "are also missing." Everyone looked at Speaker Nala of the Void Watchers. The Void Watchers were known for their stealth technology. Their ships could pass through the center of a star without being detected. "How many?" Vextar asked. "All of them," Nala replied. "Every ship we sent to observe this Earth. 27 vessels. Gone." The council chamber erupted in shocked voices. Representatives spoke in a dozen different languages, but the fear was the same in all of them. "Order!" Vextar shouted. "Order!" When the room was quiet again, he looked around the table. "This is why I called this meeting. 7 different civilizations have lost ships near Earth. That's over 100 vessels and thousands of crew members. But that's not the worst part," Crix added. His tentacles were now wrapped tightly around his body. 2 days ago we received a transmission from Earth." He pressed a button on his chair and a hologram appeared above the table. The image showed a small blue and green planet orbiting a yellow star. The transmission was sent on all frequencies we use for communication. It was sent in our languages. All of them. The hologram changed to show text in dozens of alien scripts. They all said the same thing. "We know you're watching us. We want to talk." "How do they know our languages?" whispered Representative Thal. "They learned them," Zen said. "From our crews." The room went cold. The idea that a primitive species could capture and interrogate advanced alien crews was terrifying. But the idea that they could learn entire languages from those interrogations was even worse. "There's more," Crix said. The hologram changed again, showing what looked like a human structure. "Our long-range sensors picked up this 2 weeks ago. It's a space station. In Earth's orbit, built with technology we don't recognize." Commander Yeath leaned forward. "That's impossible. You said they use chemical rockets." "They did," Crix replied. "Last month. This station wasn't there last month." "So they built a space station in weeks?" Admiral Corax asked. "Using unknown technology," Not unknown, Zen said quietly. Look closer at the design. The hologram zoomed in on the station. The council members gasped. Parts of the station looked familiar. Very familiar. Those are our engine designs, Thal whispered. And those weapon ports. Those are Iron Claw military specifications. And that section there, added Speaker Nayla, uses Void Watcher stealth plating. The terrible truth settled over the council like a dark cloud. The humans hadn't just captured their ships and crews. They had studied the technology, and somehow, impossibly, they had improved on it. How long do we have? Vextar asked. Until what? Crix replied. Until they come for us. The question hung in the air like a death sentence. These were the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. Their technology was thousands of years ahead of anything a primitive species should possess. But something about these humans was different. They didn't follow the rules. They didn't behave like other primitive species. When faced with superior technology, most species either worshipped it or ran from it. The humans had stolen it. We need more information, Vextar said finally. I'm authorizing the release of all classified data about Earth. Every observation, every contact, every missing ship report. We need to understand what we're dealing with. And if they truly are a threat? Commander Yith asked. Vextar's forearms spread wide in a gesture of uncertainty. Then we'll do what we've always done. We'll adapt. We'll overcome. We'll survive. But, as the council members left the Crystal Hall, each returning to their home worlds to prepare for the unknown, none of them felt confident about their chances. For the first time in galactic history, the hunters had become the hunted. And somewhere, in a small solar system on the outer rim, the humans were waiting. The council chambers had been converted into a courtroom of sorts. 3 witnesses sat at the center of the great Crystal Hall, each one a survivor of what the council was now calling the Earth Incident. Their testimonies would help determine humanity's threat level. Scout Captain Thrix of the Viridian Empire was the first to speak. His usually proud bearing was gone, replaced by nervous fidgeting. The Viridians were known throughout the galaxy for their advanced stealth technology, but something had shaken this experienced officer badly. We approached Earth using our best invisible ships, Thrix began, his voice steady but quiet. Our stealth technology has never failed before. We've observed thousands of primitive worlds without being detected. Council Prime Vextar leaned forward. What made this different? They saw us coming from 3 star systems away, Thrix replied. We picked up radio transmissions, military chatter. They called our ships bogies and tracked our approach with something called radar. Representative Thal looked confused. Radar? What is radar? It's a primitive detection method, Thrix explained. They bounce electromagnetic waves off objects to track them. It shouldn't work on our stealth ships. Our hulls are designed to absorb all forms of energy. But it did work? Vextar asked. Thrix nodded slowly. Not only did it work, but they seemed to know exactly what our ships could do. When we tried to go invisible, they switched to thermal tracking. When we masked our heat signatures, they used something called gravitational sensors. The council members exchanged worried glances. Gravitational sensors were advanced technology that only a few species had developed. How did they get gravitational sensors? Admiral Corax demanded. We don't know, Thrix admitted, but that wasn't the worst part. When their fighter jets surrounded our fleet, we realized they had studied space combat tactics extensively. They moved in formations we'd never seen before. Perfect 3-dimensional coordination. Fighter jets? Commander Yith laughed harshly. Atmospheric aircraft against space vessels. Their jets had been modified, Thrix said. Sealed cockpits, rocket boosters, energy weapons that shouldn't exist on a primitive world, and the pilots. He paused, shuddering. The pilots flew like they were born in space. No fear, no hesitation. They treated our warships like training targets. The second witness was research probe operator Zen of the Collective Minds. Unlike the individual-minded species around the table, Zen was part of a hive consciousness. His thoughts and experiences were shared with millions of others of his kind. Our bioships are alive, Zen explained. They think, they adapt, they learn. Carbon-based life forms should not be able to detect them, because the ships read as living creatures, not artificial constructs. But the humans detected them anyway? Vexitar asked. Worse, Zen replied. They captured them. 12 bioships, each one centuries old and battle-tested. The humans used electromagnetic nets, not to destroy the ships, but to disable them without permanent harm. Electromagnetic nets? Speaker Nala looked puzzled. That would require precise knowledge of bioship nervous systems. Exactly, Zen said. They knew how our ships thought, how they reacted to different stimuli, how to cause temporary paralysis without killing them. How could they know that? Representative Thal asked. Zen's large black eyes turned toward him. Because they had studied previous captures. We weren't their first victims. We were just the most recent. A chill ran through the council chamber. The implications were staggering. What happened to your crews? Vexitar asked quietly. The humans called it aggressive negotiation, Zen replied. They separated our people into isolation chambers. Then they began what they called psychological profiling. They seem to understand how different species think and react to stress. They tortured you? Commander Yith asked. No, Zen said, and his answer was somehow worse than if he had said yes. They didn't need to. They simply talked to us, asked questions, showed us images. Within hours, they had learned our language, our social structure, our technology, and our military tactics. That's impossible, Admiral Korak said. No species learns that quickly. The humans do, Zen replied. They have something they call pattern recognition. They find connections between things that seem unrelated. They see possibilities where other species see only facts. The third witness was Commander Yith of the Iron Claw Federation. The Iron Claw were the galaxy's most feared warriors, a species that had conquered 17 different star systems through pure military might. If anyone should have been able to handle primitive humans, it was them. But Commander Yith looked like a broken soldier. We sent a full battle fleet, Yith began. 50 warships, 2,000 of our finest warriors. We expected easy victory against a species that still fights with chemical explosives. What happened? Vexitar asked, though he was beginning to dread the answer. They were waiting for us, Yith said. Not just ready, waiting, as if they knew exactly when and where we would arrive. How is that possible? We think they intercepted our communications, Yith replied, but not just the words. They understood our military protocols, our attack patterns, our command structure. Commander Yith stood up and began pacing, a nervous habit he had never displayed before. When we entered their system, they didn't meet us in space. They waited until we approached their planet. Then their space station opened fire. You mentioned this station before, Vexitar said. What was unusual about it? Everything, Yith replied. It used our own weapons against us, Iron Claw plasma cannons, Viridian stealth missiles, collective mind bioweapons, but they had been modified, improved. Improved how? They were more accurate, more powerful, more efficient. The humans had taken our technology and made it better than we could. Admiral Korak slammed his fist on the table. That's impossible. We've been developing these weapons for thousands of years. The humans have been studying war for their entire history, Yith replied. Every human conflict, every battle, every tactical innovation. They don't just learn from their own mistakes, they learn from everyone's mistakes. So they defeated your fleet? Vexitar asked. Worse, Yith said. They captured most of it. The ships that tried to retreat were hunted down by human vessels. Vessels that moved faster than anything we've ever built. How fast? Faster than light, Yith replied. But not in any way we understand. They don't use jump drives or warp engines, they use something else, something new. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had not only defended themselves against 3 separate alien civilizations, They had captured advanced technology and improved upon it in ways that seemed impossible. There's one more thing, Yeath added quietly. Before my ship escaped, we intercepted a human transmission. Military radio chatter. What did it say? Vextar asked. Commander Yeath looked around the table at the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. It said, Phase 1 complete. Begin preparations for Phase 2. The silence that followed was deafening. Phase 1. That meant the humans considered their defense of Earth to be just the beginning. What do you think Phase 2 is? Representative Thal asked. None of the witnesses answered. They didn't need to. Everyone in the chamber was thinking the same thing. Phase 2 would be when the humans stopped defending and started attacking. And based on what they had accomplished in Phase 1, the galaxy wasn't ready for what the humans might do next. Dr. Lee Hyun walked through the underground facility beneath Seoul, his footsteps echoing in the metal corridors. The place had been built in secret over the past 5 years, ever since the first alien probe had been detected entering the solar system. Now it served as humanity's primary alien research center. Status report, Lee Hyun said as he entered the main laboratory. The room was filled with strange technology, half-assembled alien devices, and computer screens showing data from dozens of different sources. Captain Park Soo looked up from a tactical display. We have 17 alien prisoners from 7 different species. All have been cooperative since we explained the situation to them. Explained the situation? Lee Hyun raised an eyebrow. We told them the truth, Park Soo replied with a slight smile, that we're not going to hurt them, but we're also not going to let them go until we understand why they came here. Engineer Kim Rae emerged from behind a partially dismantled spacecraft. Her hands were covered in some kind of glowing fluid, and she looked excited. Doctor, you need to see this. The Viridian stealth technology isn't actually that advanced. It's just different from how we would approach the problem. Show me, Lee Hyun said. Kim Rae led him to a workbench where pieces of alien hull plating were spread out like a puzzle. They use metamaterials to bend electromagnetic radiation around their ships. Very elegant, but it has weaknesses. What kind of weaknesses? It only works for specific frequencies, Kim Rae explained. If you know what to look for, you can see right through it. That's why our radar worked. We were using frequencies they hadn't accounted for. Lee Hyun nodded. This was typical of what they had learned about alien technology. It was advanced, but it was also specialized. The aliens had developed solutions for specific problems, but they hadn't thought about creative alternatives. What about the iron? Claw weapons? He asked. Powerful but crude, Kim Rae replied. They rely on brute force rather than efficiency. We've already improved their plasma cannons by 30% just by optimizing the magnetic field generators. And the bioships? Those are more interesting, Kim Rae admitted. The collective minds actually grew their ships rather than building them. But the neural networks are simple compared to human brain structure. We've been able to interface with them using modified computer systems. Lee Hyun walked over to another section of the lab, where Dr. Yoon Jin was working with a team of physicists. The area was filled with complex mathematical equations and holographic displays showing spacecraft, movement patterns. How's the FTL research progressing? He asked. Dr. Yoon Jin looked up from her calculations. We've identified 3 different faster-than-light technologies from the captured ships. Each species developed their own method, but none of them are particularly efficient. Can we improve them? Better than that, Yoon Jin said, her eyes bright with excitement. We can combine them. The Viridian jump drive technology, the Iron Claw power systems, and the collective bio-neural navigation computers. Together, they could create something much faster and more accurate than any individual system. How much faster? Maybe 10 times faster than the best alien ship we've captured. Lee Hyun smiled. This was what made humanity different from the aliens. When faced with multiple solutions to the same problem, humans didn't pick one and stick with it. They found ways to use all of them together. General Choi Bin entered the laboratory, followed by several military officers. The general was a stern woman who had been planning Earth's defense for the past decade. She had anticipated alien contact long before it happened. "Doctor," she said, nodding to Lee Hyun. "We need to discuss our next move." "What do you have in mind?" Lee Hyun asked. "The aliens are regrouping," General Choi Bin replied. "Our intelligence suggests they're planning a coordinated attack, multiple species working together." "How many ships?" "At least 1,000, maybe more." Lee Hyun felt a chill run down his spine. Earth's defenses were strong, but 1,000 alien warships would be a serious challenge. "What are our options?" he asked. Captain Park Soo stepped forward. "We could continue to rely on defensive strategies. Our space station is well armed and we have the home field advantage." "Or," General Choi Bin asked, "or we take the fight to them," Park Soo replied. "Hit them before they can organize their attack." "With what ships?" Lee Hyun asked. "We don't have a space fleet." Engineer Kim Rae grinned. "Actually, we do now." She led them to a different section of the facility, one that Lee Hyun had never seen before. They passed through several security checkpoints before arriving at a massive hangar. Inside were dozens of spacecraft, but they looked unlike anything Lee Hyun had ever seen. "We call them hybrid ships," Kim Rae explained. "Built using human engineering principles but incorporating the best alien technology we've captured." The ships were sleek and deadly looking. They combined the angular efficiency of human design with the organic curves of alien biotechnology. "How many do we have?" General Choi Bin asked. 50 combat-ready vessels, Kim Rae replied, with more in production. "Crews? Human pilots with alien AI assistance," Captain Park Soo said. "The combination gives us the best of both worlds, human creativity and adaptability, plus alien computational power." Dr. Yoon Jin joined them in the hangar. "The ships are also equipped with our improved FTL drives. They can outrun and outmaneuver anything the aliens have." Lee Hyun walked up to one of the ships and placed his hand on its hull. The surface felt warm, almost alive. "What's our plan?" General Choi Bin activated a holographic display showing the local star systems. "We've identified 3 key alien installations within 50 light-years of Earth: military bases, research stations, and communication hubs. We hit all 3 simultaneously," Captain Park Soo added. "Fast strikes designed to capture technology and gather intelligence, not to cause massive casualties." "And send a message," General Choi Bin finished. "What kind of message?" Lee Hyun asked. "That Earth is no longer just defending itself," she replied. "We're taking an active role in galactic affairs." Dr. Yoon Jin looked concerned. "Are we sure this is the right approach? Once we attack alien installations, there's no going back." "There was no going back the moment they decided to invade us," General Choi Bin said firmly. "We tried peaceful contact. We sent diplomatic messages. They responded by sending more warships." Lee Hyun nodded slowly. The general was right. Humanity had tried to establish peaceful contact with the aliens, but they had been met with hostility and aggression. Now it was time to show the galaxy that humans could be just as dangerous as any other species. "When do we launch?" he asked. "Tomorrow," General Choi Bin replied. "Admiral Nam Woo will command the space operations, and Colonel Oh Dan will lead the ground teams." "What about the alien prisoners?" Lee Hyun asked. "We'll release them after the operation," Captain Park Soo said, "with a message for their governments." "What message?" "That humanity is open to peaceful relations with any species, willing to treat us as equals," General Choi Bin replied. "But any species that continues to treat us as primitives to be conquered will learn why that's a mistake." As they left the hangar, Lee Hyun felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Humanity was about to take its first steps onto the galactic stage, not as victims or subjects, but as players in their own right. The aliens had made the mistake of underestimating human ingenuity and determination. Tomorrow they would learn that some mistakes are too dangerous to make twice. In less than 24 hours, the balance of power in the galaxy would begin to shift, and it would shift in favor of a small blue planet that refused to surrender. Admiral Nam Wu stood on the bridge of the Earthship Soul's Pride, watching the stars streak past through the view screen. The hybrid vessel hummed with barely contained power, its fusion of human engineering and alien technology creating something entirely new in the galaxy. "Status report," he said to his bridge crew. "All ships are maintaining formation," reported Navigation Officer Kim Min. "ETA to Target Alpha is 37 minutes. Target Beta is reporting ready status," added Communications Officer Park Hana. "Colonel Odan's strike team is prepared for ground assault." "And Target Gamma?" Nam Wu asked. "Captain Li Jun confirms. His cyber warfare team is standing by," Park Hana replied. Nam Wu nodded. 3 targets, 3 different approaches. The plan was ambitious, but then again, humanity had built its entire space program on ambitious plans. The first target was a Viridian Empire research station studying exotic matter. It was lightly defended but contained valuable scientific data. The second target was an Iron Claw Federation military outpost that served as a forward base for their expansion efforts. The third target was a collective minds hive node that coordinated communications across 17 star systems. "Admiral," called out Tactical Officer Yoon Sera, "we're approaching the Viridian station. Their sensors haven't detected us yet." Nam Wu smiled. The human ships were using modified Viridian stealth technology, but with improvements that made them invisible even to their creators. "Launch the infiltration team," he ordered. From the belly of Soul's Pride, a small craft detached and drifted toward the alien station. Inside were 12 human Special Forces soldiers led by Sergeant Bei Yong. Their mission was simple: capture the station without destroying it. The infiltration craft used a combination of technologies that no single alien species possessed: Viridian stealth fields to avoid detection, Iron Claw shield penetrators to pass through defensive barriers, and collective bio-neural interfaces to communicate with the station's computer systems. "We're inside their defensive perimeter," reported Sergeant Bei Yong over the comm. "Beginning docking procedures." On the research station, the Viridian scientists continued their work, unaware that they were about to become part of human history. The station's AI detected nothing unusual as the human craft attached itself to a maintenance airlock. "Airlock sealed," Bei Yong reported, moving to disable security systems. The humans had studied Viridian psychology extensively. They knew that Viridians relied heavily on automated systems and rarely expected direct physical infiltration. The aliens preferred to fight at long range using advanced technology, rather than face-to-face combat. "Security grid is down," reported Corporal Shin Yu from inside the station. "Proceeding to the control center." The Viridian scientists didn't realize they were under attack until human soldiers appeared in their laboratories. The aliens froze, in shock, their large eyes wide with disbelief. "Please remain calm," Sergeant Bei Yong said in perfect Viridian. "We are not here to harm you. We need to speak with your station commander." At Target Beta, the situation was very different. The Iron Claw military outpost was designed for war with heavy defensive systems and experienced warriors. "Colonel." Dan knew that subtlety would not work here. "All units begin the assault," he ordered from the command ship, Busan's Hammer. 20 human warships dropped out of stealth and opened fire on the Iron Claw station. But these weren't the chemical, explosives, and kinetic weapons the aliens expected from a primitive species. These were hybrid weapons that combined human innovation with alien technology. The Iron Claw defenders scrambled to respond, but they found themselves facing tactics they had never encountered before. Human ships moved in 3-dimensional formations that confused their targeting systems. Instead of the predictable attack patterns most species used, the humans seemed to be improvising constantly. "Enemy shields are holding," reported Weapons Officer Choi Mira, "but their power distribution is uneven." "Exploit the weakness," Colonel Odan ordered. "Focus fire on grid section 7. The humans had learned something important about Iron Claw technology. It was powerful but inflexible. The aliens built their defenses to withstand massive direct assaults, but they weren't prepared for precision strikes against specific vulnerabilities. "Shields down in Section 7, Choi Mira reported. "Boarding teams, you have an opening." Human assault shuttles raced toward the breach in the station's defenses. Inside were soldiers equipped with weapons designed specifically for fighting Iron Claw warriors. The aliens were strong and aggressive, but they had never faced humans, who had studied every aspect of their combat doctrine. At Target Gamma, Captain Li Jun was conducting an entirely different kind of warfare. The Collective Minds Hive node was protected by sophisticated cyber defenses and biological security systems. Traditional attacks would be useless against a target that could literally think its way out of danger. Initiating neural interface, reported cyber warfare specialist Dr. Lim He. Connecting to the Hive network. The humans had learned to communicate with the Collective's bioneural systems using captured interface technology. But instead of trying to overpower the Hive mind, they were using a more subtle approach. Upload the confusion virus, Captain Li Jun ordered. Human programmers had created something unique, a digital virus designed specifically for Hive minds. Instead of destroying data, it introduced contradictory information and conflicting priorities. For a species that relied on perfect coordination, confusion was more dangerous than any weapon. The Hive is experiencing decision paralysis, Dr. Lim He reported. Multiple nodes are receiving conflicting commands. Begin data extraction, Li Jun ordered. While the Collective struggled to resolve the contradictions in their network, human cyber warfare teams copied every piece of information they could access. Communication protocols, star charts, military, plans, technological specifications, all of it flowing into human databases. Back at Target Alpha, Sergeant Bei Yong was having a very different conversation with the Viridian Station commander. "You are making a mistake," the alien said, his voice trembling. "The Viridian Empire will not tolerate this aggression." "With respect, Commander," Bei Yong replied, "your empire has been sending unauthorized ships into our solar system for 6 months. We tried diplomatic contact. You responded by sending more ships. Your species is primitive," the Viridian protested. "You have no right to challenge advanced civilizations." "That's where you're wrong," Bei Yong said calmly. "We have every right to defend ourselves, and we have the ability to do it." To prove his point, Bei Yong activated a holographic display showing the other 2 human operations. The Viridian commander watched in horror as Iron Claw warriors, the galaxy's most feared fighters, were systematically defeated by human soldiers. The Collective Hive node, supposedly unhackable, was being turned inside out by human cyber attacks. "This is impossible," the commander whispered. "No," Bei Yong replied. "This is what happens when you underestimate a species that has been preparing for galactic contact for decades." At Target Beta, the Iron Claw resistance was finally crumbling.